All right, good morning, Coin Observatory. I'm gonna do a morning market update, like a morning brief, pretty much covering what I'm seeing in the market, how I see this day, this week progressing, and some things to look out for. There's a lot going on, in all markets. BTC over the weekend made some really big upwards moves. We were at a new yearly high, and problematically, there's a CME gap below us, right? So 84.30 is a gap fill. It filled on Kraken way sooner than it was supposed to before CME even opened. So Kraken price came down all the way down to 84.30. And it's that yellow line I have here, right? So every gap so far has filled, every single one of them except for one from where is the no fill gap? It's this one. It's 7,200, right? And we can call this one a breakaway gap, maybe. Hopefully we don't get another breakaway gap here, and we do fill this gap. But as of now, if we're going to see rejection at any point in this move, it's going to be up here, this 1.272 fib extension for a move back down. But so far, bulls have been trying to uphold price above this the previous yearly high, right? So we saw some support come in here and try to keep the chart up. Though I'd like to see another wick back down to 84.30, clear this gap and put it behind us. Last time we saw one of these big moves was this big flash move to 6,300. That was a CME gap. We actually traded this one. We shorted down to here. And it was just a wick, right? So we could see a wick down to 84.30. I'm gonna go ahead and put up the Kraken XBT chart. And it kind of did that just on Kraken. So you guys see this big down wick. This was just yesterday. It was like an hour and a half before CME open. So I don't think it's valid. The CME chart is still gapped, right? It's still doing this gap. All right. And as far as I'm kind of getting jumped to the stock market, just I think some really big moves are setting up. Over the weekend, Trump did something which I don't think any president should do about he tweeted about a market crash of likes of the which has not seen before, right? So he's tweeting about this possible market crash if he loses the 2020 election. Has the crash begun is a big question. Is this going to shake out a lot of retail saying, hey, I'm just going to sit out for a year? Well, I wrote this article on Medium. There's a link to it in the video description. I called it the macroeconomic parallels. There's a lot of parallels. Do you guys remember the fractal? Some people were sharing it on like Bitcoin early 2018, late 2017, saying, oh, this fractal is going to put us in a 2-year bear market. And a lot of people brushed that off. I actually brushed that off for first few months, really. And so we're really setting up something very similar on the stock market, where it's doing this thing that it was doing in 2007, right? A triple top. I do go over this in the articles. If you want something to read while you're drinking your coffee, this should be a good read. Even in gold, the gold chart is doing the same thing as it was, except for back then it broke. Gold broke resistance, right? It broke resistance as the S&P was at all-time high. This time we have not broken resistance. We're just setting up really bullishly, very similar formations. And then directional volatility. Talk about the Bitcoin and the S&P correlation. There's like an inverse correlation in terms of directional volatility. And indices were doing mixed signals, right? They were kind of looking bullish, kind of looking bearish. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop up the SPY. It looks like we're selling off today, or selling off right now in pre-market on the S&P. But I do think that if we do end up trying to make a higher high, we're gonna bounce off that rejection fib that we've been rejecting off of, that 1.272. So I think this could be the next top. There is an FOMC meeting, a Fed meeting on Wednesday, so I expect the traditional markets to kind of go sideways until then. I'm not expecting a big move until after the meeting, and I do think it's going to be a down move. I don't see the Fed cutting rates just now. I did quite a bit of research on the topic because I do have a pretty big position on indices. If you've been following my gold call, posted on this May 16th. It's gonna be here, GC1. We're above that previous resistance, right? We did this little bit of a rising wedge. We pulled back on gold. I'm gonna go to like the daily chart just to get a better perspective of the big picture. Big picture cup and a handle formation. We can even call it a pennant if we wanted to. Zoom out just a bit more. So if you guys traded calls on this and closed out, you should be in the money. You were in the money on the gold call. Is this a big triangle bottom? Is this a narrower triangle bottom? Right, there's definitely a lot to consider on this chart. There's no doubt that we are still trading above last swing high, higher high, right? And which is ultimately bullish, right? If this breakout does continue, it's gonna put gold above that big range, right? The range since 2013, so it's been a long time ranging, and this could set gold up for a big upwards run. It could be a hedge for falling indices, for falling stock market. I did write about the gold parallel in the Medium article, so if you're interested more in the gold play, suggest you read it. Coach Kevin and I have been looking at corn and at oil, right? So ZC1, it's covering some commodities. What's going on with the connection, the B? What are you feeling, not feeling? All right, so corn futures just gapped up overnight. I think we're past that 1.272. Oh, we're not past it. We are not past it. We are right there, slightly above. I do expect a bigger upwards move. We do have calls on corn. Oil is looking like it tried to make a big move up, or at least some kind of move up. And L. The last commodity I cover. So, gold futures doing the 61.8 retracement. There was an event in the Gulf of Oman, which should trigger some more fear into the market, maybe push the price back up to the 50% Feb, right? So it's doing like a double bottom potentially off the 61.8, but it has been heavily shorted, right? It has been very heavily shorted. So I'm going to say gold goes sideways for another day or two before we get clear direction. I did post a long on Ether this morning. I was seeing an intraday inverse head and shoulders. So before I jump into ETH, alts have been struggling, right? They've been really taking a hit. I did announce on the 13th that we are close to BTC dominant support, right? And whenever we're there, BTC tends to go on a rager, either that or dump, and then alts really eat the dust, right? They bite the dust real hard. And the 13th was here. It was last Thursday. So I did try and I said, trim down some altcoin bags. I did think alts were safe prematurely. All right, so this is where I said, started trimming down those altcoin bags. Up here, I thought we had double topped, but BTC tended, just continued. So it stopped me out of a few trades. Alts are struggling, or they have been struggling. We haven't seen like a real breakout. Everything that looked like it was going to break out did not, or is still stalling or pending. I think Link was one of the few breakouts. I'm looking at my alts. We saw like Lisk and Strat make some rallies, but they weren't sustainable. I think there's it's either going to be those arbitrage bots slowing down the charts, or like something slowing down these breakouts, keeping them from happening, because when we do see these big pullbacks, alts should gain, right? So these pullbacks in BTC dominance, maybe make another high on BTC.D before we come back down, and if we do break out of this range, though, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be altcoin bear market all over again. If you do break out of this range, we don't want to see that. We kind of want to see more balance in the market. But, if we do see some kind of stock market crash and we do see BTC go up, I have zero hope for most altcoins, because if we're seeing a dwindling economy, a shrinking economy, emerging markets in the form of altcoins, like, I don't see a reason for them to increase in valuation, right? So even, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna hop into the ETH intraday. Why I said it looked like a good place to long, and why I longed it. The 4-hour chart doesn't quite show us much. There was a wedge. Could be a company handle or a second company handle. More interestingly, the weekly chart on ETH is looking very promising, right? So we're seeing this somewhat of a bull flag, right? And last time we did this after sideways consolidation, ETH shot up to like the 17.9 fib. Actually, one big move to the 6.54. Another move to the 6.54 would set us at like 1100. So I do think a big ether move is pending. That's kind of why it's going sideways. It's consolidating longer. It hasn't broken out yet. Intraday, all right, so in the hourly, there's a little bit of a bull flag with another bull flag stacked on top. That being said, if BTC does come down for a gap fill, I presume ETH is going to come back down too, right? So we got to be careful with these longs. And then there's somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders on several time frames. There's one here on the hourly that we can see hidden inside this flag. So I do think ETH is going to maybe break out today or soon. And then also funding is not very much in favor of shorts as it has been. Funding is really low. It's like 7%, right? It's not that like 10 or 0.13. So most of the market is not really bullish on ETH right now. There's not a big markup on perpetuals. So that's a good thing. That's a time to be long. We don't want to be long with like 20% funding. Just kind of looking over at my alt monitors. All right, fam, hit me with some altcoin suggestions. Hit me with some charts you want me to look at. Morning, Ben. Morning, Kevin. All right, if you guys don't want to hit me with some suggestions, I'm just gonna go over this again. So this is a reason. This could be a reason to see a lot of devaluation in the stock market this week, right? I don't think the Fed's gonna do a rate cut on Wednesday, or is gonna announce a rate cut on Wednesday, not just yet. So market crash likes of which has not been seen before. And for a president to tweet that, I mean, he's kind of fear mongering. I don't know if it's gonna help his campaign or hurt it. The home farmer. All right, let's go for 1 BTC. All right, so looking at the daily chart, this looks like a new listing, right? Made some moves up and kind of came back down. I tend to not trade these newer exchange listings, right? Like, I want to see what it does, where it consolidates before I come in, because it's easy to get sucked in with FOMO here. Then when you start seeing these legs down, it's a struggle, right? It is. Now, also, if you're gonna trade alts, if you're gonna be trading alts right now, you need to look at one thing, and that's the BTC.D chart, right? Bitcoin dominance. Before I look over one for you, and what's going on in BTC.D, we're seeing this range, right? So anytime this thing bounces off support, right, it's time to get out of alts, right? When it's turning off resistance, it's time to buy alts. And that's just the cycle. That's how you got to trade these alts, especially new alts, right? So if this thing makes a big move up or is turning for a big move up, there is zero reason to be in most alts, or like limited alt exposure would be the key, right? Not like full on alts, because time and time again it's proved that it's just not good. So at what point can I see any alts turn around and start making new highs other than Link? Len was looking good. Zill was actually looking for a turnaround. Anyways, so we want to see this thing prove to be resistance, and for this previous resistance turn support to break, right? So we want to see this start ranging again. But going back over to 1, what do I see on the chart? Thing with these early, these exchange offerings, these new listings, I'd like for the market to react to them before buying in, personally. Last thing I want to do is be the guy that buys this pullback and then averages down on this pullback, and then, or at least set a stop. I don't see a reason for one to turn around. Trying to get you a wedge here. It's not acting like a wedge breakout. Should have seen like more. We should have seen actual volume come in here and like boost it. I don't see anything bullish here. Let me go to the 30. Do you have a moving average strategy for some of these? It's on like the 15 and the 30. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I just don't see an up move on 1. When longing BTC from 84.30, where would my stop be? So, let's go to that chart. I'd probably want to pick, one of these fib levels. So, I've been talking about this 1.272 rejection, right? And if this move down at 84.30 comes down like a wick, I'd probably wanna put a bid down, and kind of wait and see what the chart does before adding. So I put a bid down for like quarter of what I intend to do at 84.30, and I'd kind of wait. If we start wicking up fast, then probably like market buy, maybe get hurt by slippage a little bit, or put in another bid for like 84.50, 84.60 as it's going up. Just if I wanted to secure that big position. But let me go ahead and add the gravity indicator that we put together. So it's gonna be that yellow line, 84.20, 84.30, 84.53. So most ideally, my stop's gonna want to be below like this wick or below this fib, which is gonna be pretty big spread. Somewhere in the 83.09 territory, that would be an ideal stop. A really tight stop, you want to be at that 83.36. Just so we're below some of these fib levels. If you look down here, right, so there's order blocks here that should protect the position. You see those two wicks, right? Like right here, those two wicks. The most ideal stop would be like further down, but I like tight stops. I do. So I personally don't like pre-running orders on margin, but if there's one thing that move to 6,300 taught us, it was that these gap fills can be violent and they can be just wicks. All right, so if this is our second rejection off the 1.272 or third rejection, expect to see us come down, maybe develop a channel, and then pierce down 84.53 to fill that gap, and then turn around and head back up. Yeah, there's not enough data on these new coins, right? And especially the market hasn't done this like fair market valuation on them. They just haven't been valuated. So market movers can move them up. And then whoever, if it's like an ICO, whoever's got these coins, these big holders might have been waiting for years, right? So they can just dump them. Even if it's an IEO, like you saw Sealer, you saw FET, just kind of just indefinitely in a downtrend until they actually turned bullish. All right, fam. Hit me with some more suggestions, some more alts you want me to cover. Morin, hopefully answered your question. Hopefully you got some clarity. So 83.10 would be an ideal stop. Back to ETH, right? It's been consolidating for some time and just going sideways, like an indefinite sideways move. But I'm seeing this bull flag. I'm seeing some of an inverse head and shoulders. This might actually stop us at come down for another cup and a handle before an upwards move. Then the weekly chart. That's what I really want to see out of ETH, is that the big parabolic move up. I mean, last time we did something like this was this range at the $53, and from there it was one strong move to the 6.54 fib. So if we're seeing the same thing, it's gonna get nice for Ether bulls, right? It's gonna be really good. And I believe the weekly opened above and is currently trading above last week's resistance. I'm gonna scoot that over. All right, so it's a pretty good weekly open, hasn't closed. You guys want to hit me with some altcoins to look at? If not, I'm just going to go over some indices, see what futures are doing. Then go to the hourly, the ES1, which is the S&P. market opens in a few minutes, or actually it's open, but these futures, right, they get more volume than traditional indices do, and they're traded 24 hours. If we see this break up, right, if this formation breaks up, I think we're going to turn around at the 29.24 on the ES1. So like the SPY would be let's do a fib extension. Alright, so I really think we're going to see rejection up here at 292. It's just where every breakout's been rejecting. BTC rejected there, and it came back down. Yeah, it's like the 1.272 season on every breakout. You guys, hit me with some suggestions. Altcoins, crypto, like any chart really. One chart I am bullish on that's an altcoin, actually two charts I'm bullish on that are altcoins, are XCM and like waves for some reason. I think it's gonna turn. It's just there's a lot of similarities between two of them. XCM appears to be bullish. I'm seeing somewhat of a bullish Gartley. Oh, let's go to the 60. Alright, so there's a bullish Gartley. It's starting to turn around. There's a big falling wedge here on them. I'm going to go to 240, show you guys. Alright, so there's a big wedge. There's potentially a bullish Gartley here. It's starting to turn around on good volume. And they have like their coin market cap is just stacked with events for June. A lot of conferences, they released new code. Everybody thought NEM was dead, right? It was like, oh, NEM's close to filing bankruptcy. Oh, NEM got hacked. I really think these guys are going to survive. This token, if you traded this in 2017, you know what this token could do potentially. You did have several attempted breaks of this wedge, so yeah, and the reason I like it, and I'm comparing it to, the reason I'm comparing it to waves is because the structure that we're seeing here is very much almost identical to what we're seeing on waves. So if this is what we need to see for a good turnaround, I haven't signaled waves yet. If that's what we're seeing for a turnaround out of these depths of the dominance massacre, it's good to identify one structure and see if similar structures will hold through and follow it. Alright, Vet, what do you think the impact will be with the US Binance news? I will check on Verge next. When Moon, Troy, morning Troy. So impact of Binance, will I trade on Binance? I'm still on Binance. I haven't pulled my coins out, right? No reason to do that now. No reason to sell off. I'm still going to trade on Binance for now. And I think we're going to see a lot less volume on some of these coins that are currently on Binance. Also on Bittrex. And then Bittrex, there's a lot of coins that they're restricted US access to, like queued just recently. Pretty much like almost anything that ICO'd. So I think there's going to be a lot less coins to trade on Binance.us, but I do think there are some loopholes through it. I know Binance has no KYC for smaller accounts, so one can do like 2 or 3 smaller accounts, VPN in, and trade whatever they want to trade. I'm not sure if they're going to do away with that no KYC for smaller accounts. So yeah, maybe we'll do like a secondary API layer for the bot we have to handle 2 or 3 different smaller Binances type of thing. That's always a possibility. So there's always going to be solutions, right? There's always solutions. But Short-term impact next couple of months. I don't think it's going to signal a 3-year altcoin bear market. I think market participants are still going to participate. Yeah. All right, going over Verge. So XVG was looking good. It was looking really good for a breakout before the dominance turnaround did its thing, right? For that double bottom comment, let's see how many times Verge looked like a double bottom. I'm not just picking on Verge. This is what happens when BTC dominance goes on a rager. I don't know if you traded 2017 during the Bitcoin gold fork, right? So, oh, there's a double bottom on Verge. Oh, double bottoms out. Oh, there's a double bottom on Verge, right? Oh, my face is in the way. I'm sorry. Don't trust double bottoms. Oh, there's a double bottom on Verge. Nope, double bottoms out. There's double bottom on Verge. Double bottoms out. So I don't really trust double bottoms that much, right? Because there's never a bottom, guys. There's never a bottom. The bottom is 0. Is there a bullish formation? I don't see a wedge. I don't see a wedge break. I mean, this could potentially be a diamond, but we want to see dominance turn around. None of these are going to pop off if BTC.D is still pointed up and heading up, right? None of these are going to turn around. Maybe a link, maybe something that is historically rallied with a rallying Bitcoin. Or, you know, market maker decides to just move one coin. Until then, alts are just not gonna, they're not gonna rally. Bitcoin peg token on Binance chain. I've not seen that, Troy. What's that all about? Go back to some of these alt requests. I got that page loading from Binance. Going over VET, INS, BNB. All right, VT, VChain. I'd be looking for a dominance turnaround, right? And buy it at a huge discount. There's a double bottom that just went out, right? I mean, yesterday someone been like, hey, double bottom right here, returning. Hey, double bottom right here, day after. It's looking ugly for alts. This has been a massacre. This is looking worse than the actual bear market did for altcoins. That's what's really frustrating about it, is because the market's, you know, market cap's growing, but in terms of BTC, everything's getting crushed. If this is going to reject it at 1.2, right, so the next level I'd look at on VET is like 69 Satoshis. If it's going to turn around over here. If not, there's never a bottom. They enforce KYC right now. They do. we're introducing tokens on Binance Chain that will be pegged to leading cryptocurrencies. This will start with a Bitcoin peg token that will be traded on Binance and propose trading on Binance DEX. There's also like Binance DEX. So peg tokens such as BTC are 100% backed by the native coin in reserve, which is BTC. In BTCB's case, the reserve addresses are published for anyone to audit. The blockchain offers a much easier way to audit a crypto reserve than traditional bank balance tether. I'd have to read more about this, Troy, to see what's actually happening with this. Thanks for sharing it. I haven't seen that until now. I'll go back to alts. What do you think the impact will be, Troy? What's your opinion on that? I mean, quote unquote, double bottom right here. Let's double bottom out. You know, are we gonna break through this last low? BTC keeps going up, and if BTC.G keeps going up, then yes, I think nothing is gonna hold. Very few things will survive. We've seen this before. All right. This was bad as we knew it. And once again, you know, if the stock market crashes, I could see BTC going up, but I can't see alts going up because we're going to see the fall of an industry, fall of industry, shrinking economies. The only way alts would go up is as a means to make more Bitcoin. It's just gonna be pumped and dumped. I mean, I think that's what alts is. The majority of alts is just a tool to make more BTC for market participants and market makers. Anyways, so back to BAT. This was BAT when it traded. This is when the Bitcoin gold fork was announced, right? And then we saw so many. Hey, double bottom of the channel, we're gonna turn. Hey, bottom of the channel, we're gonna turn. Hey, bottom of the channel, we're gonna turn. And it just kept overselling until it finally capitulated. And then made a big move up. But since then, there's been a lot of swings, a lot of plays. So it wasn't the end of the world by any means. Actually, let's go to a 3-day chart so you see the big picture. It's gonna suck if we're one of these similar eras. Oh, are we below the? Yeah, so there's been a lot of markets done a lot of things since then. To add some perspective, sorry, this is really hard to get this chart dialed in. Here's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so this was a Bitcoin gold fork, right? If you're in for something like this, for another dominance rager, I don't see a double bottom holding on anything. Alright, it's sad, it's unfortunate, but market does what it does. But then, wait it out, find those good entries, and there's a lot of upsides that'll come. We just have to see dominance turn around and stay turned around. It's frustrating. Yeah, I agree with you, Troy. I agree with you. I covered that INS, covered BNB. They're gonna the fact that they're trying to be US SEC compliant tells me that even their DEX, right? Their DEX is gonna get potentially like a US VPN or US IP block. We're gonna see some, maybe a VPN crackdown too. Depends how compliant they really want to be, right? I mean, we see a lot of things in this space. It's fairly premature. Like, we know that any exchange that bans US citizens other than Bitfinex, you can VPN to, right? Or yeah, so I don't know how compliant, quote unquote compliant, Binance is trying to be. So looking at BNB, go over BNB, BTC, BNB, USD. All right, so on the 13th, I said get out of BNB when I said we're gonna exit our BTC hedge. And we had got into there. Let's go like to 240. I think like May 31st as a hedge against a falling BTC. So I made that nice 15% move. I was asking for a 10% move. So the 30th was right here, right? We saw this big move up, then kind of sideways consolidation on BNB. And in my notes, I said, hey guys, BTC's headed back up. Time to exit this BNB hedge. I think it was up like 15% at the time. It was on this day. It was on one of these 3 to 4 candles. And we had gotten into BNB as a hedge against falling BTC. Yeah, 10, 12, 13%. I said it was going to be a 10% move, right? So it exceeded that target. BNB, BTC, what's going to happen now? I don't know. One problem with BNB, remove all the drawing tools. So one problem with this coin right now is that if you hold it and you are in the US, you might not ever be able to use it again, right? This was an ICO. Is this coin going to be traded on Binance.us, right? If not, then there is no reason for any US citizen to hold this coin unless they plan on staying on Binance, trading with smaller accounts and VPN and in. So there's a lot of controversy about it. One thing we know about controversy, it does two things. It either devalues an asset, right, or it creates a buying opportunity. What can we, which one is it, right? Is Binance gonna let their coin crash go to zero? I don't think so, right? So I think Binance is gonna try to keep this thing floating, and keep doing these rinse and repeats, right? They just pump it on a falling BTC. Do you have a paper on Medium about Binance coin and BTC inverse correlation and how Binance use it as a hedge, right? I think it's going to remain a hedge. I think potentially, if you're a moving average trader, you can kind of see the setup right here. Just like our BTFD indicator for Bitcoin, this kind of acts very similar, right? We see this consolidation below, a break above, and it's bullish again. So I'd want to see it. I can't give away this moving average. I'm sorry, but I want to see it get back up into the zone. And if it does get back into the zone, it could be doing somewhat of an ascending triangle with a failed breakout, or maybe even an inverse head and shoulders top, right? This is the bullish case for BNB. The bearish case for BNB could be a diamond top. I can't tell you if it is yet.